So in today's video, I'll be showing you 3 delicious and important soups you should have on your menu if you want to celebrate here in Nigeria. Starting off with the first one, we'll have Afang soup. Afang soup is presentable. It has this green nature that attracts people, right? It's packed with so much, chewable. You can literally chew something each time you dig into your afang soup, and most people here in Nigeria tends to use it for some specific guest. That's why most times when you go for any occasion you will see other soups, but they will tag the afang soup, for some special guest. In making the soup, you have to be very intentional about the protein you'll be using. You can use goat meat or cow head, right? Introduce it into your pot, steam it to your satisfaction. Introduce your cow skin, aka bomo, all right? Cut it in chewable pieces. Then introduce it. Introduce your dry fish, then stir everything to combine. Stockfish is very important whenever you're making your afang soup. Now you will introduce your unshelled periwinkle, stir everything together to combine. Cover this and allow everything to simmer together for up to 5 to 10 minutes. After that, you're going to introduce palm oil. Now the soup require a lot of palm oil, and that palm oil gives it the brightness that it needs. After introducing your palm oil, right, you're going to stir together to combine. Allow the palm oil to integrate into the proteins. Then you're going to introduce your first vegetable, which is water leaf. This water leaf is what is called the coily or the dried water leaf. This water leaf is preferred whenever you're using it for any kind of occasion because it has minimal quantity of water. So after introducing it, I stirred properly to combine, cover and allow it to wilt, okay, so I can see the quantity of water that it will give. And right here, it does not have much water. I'm going to introduce more water to loosen it up, because if I introduce the next vegetable, which is okazi, into this water leaf, the soup is going to be very thick, and it wouldn't serve the purpose for which we want to use it. You can see the water that it has brought out is not enough. I'm going to introduce more water to loosen it up at this point. After introducing the water to loosen it up, right, you're going to taste and adjust with any lacking ingredients, because you have altered the taste of the soup with the water you introduce. But if everything is okay, it is fine. I covered and allowed the water leaf to boil, and then I introduce a bit of seasoning and I introduce a bit of salt. Then we will introduce the afang leaf. This is also called okazi. Introduce it into the pot, stir everything to combine, introduce more crayfish, and then top it up with more oil. For an occasion, please minimize the quantity of oil. Don't give excess oil into the soup, because it's not everyone that likes to eat oil. Okay, make sure you understand that you're serving the public and not for your personal use. So allow it to simmer for up to 2 to 4 minutes and the soup is ready. The next soup that should be on your menu is Egusi soup. This one can never be missing in any Nigerian occasion. It depends on how you want to make it. You can decide to make it with bitter leaf. You can decide to make it with vegetable. You can decide to make it with okazi leaf also, right? Now introduce your protein, any protein of choice, into the pot. Just steam it to your satisfaction. I'm going to cook this because it is tough. I will cook it for some time, and when I open up, I will introduce the stockfish. After introducing the stockfish, I will season it up with salt, seasoning cubes, and every other goodness, okay, that will add to the taste of the soup. I will allow the stockfish and the cow head to cook until it's 70% halfway cooked before I will introduce other ingredients. If you're seeing this channel for the first time and you enjoy and love what we do here, please subscribe to the channel. Turn on your bell notification so you'll be notified each time we upload a new video. Give a thumbs up to the video and share this video with your friends. Thank you. And for my returning subscribers, thank you for always stopping by. I appreciate you. Now the proteins were ready. I removed it and set aside. Into the same pot, I introduced palm oil. I'm going to introduce onions to add a bit of sweetness into this oil, right? I will introduce crayfish. This crayfish will help give it this kind of crayfish, taste into the egusi or the melon, right? Then allow this to fry for 2 seconds, not more than 2 seconds, so you don't get the crayfish burnt. After frying for 2 seconds, you're going to scoop your egusi into the oil. Now this egusi, I turned it into a paste just like this with water until I get this thick consistency. I introduce it into the pot. I will allow it to fry a little bit for up to 2 to 3 minutes because I'm not using a non-stick pot. But if you're using a non-stick pot, please let it fry for up to 7 minutes. Then you will stir just as I did here. This melon seed or egusi, you can also decide to just introduce it without turning it into a paste. All of them will do the same thing. It depends on how you want the soup to turn out. After stirring for some time, you're going to reintroduce your protein and then introduce water to cook the soup properly. After introducing the water, you're going to stir to make sure that everything is properly combined, and then you introduce a dry fish if you want to add more. But if you don't want, it is okay. Make sure you're giving the quantity of protein that will be enough for your guests. Remember, you're using it for an occasion. You're going to stir properly to combine to make sure that the underneath is not, getting burnt. Egusi soup burns underneath very fast, so you have to always keep stirring to make sure that everything is okay. Now you're going to introduce more crayfish here if you want, right? But if you don't, you can also introduce it later on. I introduce more crayfish. I will also cover and allow this to cook for up to 20 minutes. Egusi is not ready when it cakes up, just as you can see. No, that doesn't mean that the egusi is properly cooked. You allow this to cook until you see, the texture will begin to change and the oil floating on top of the soup, just as you can see, right? Then you know that your egusi soup is ready. At this point, you will taste and adjust with any lacking ingredient. Please make sure not to oversalt your food. This is for an occasion. It's not everyone that eats, that plenty of salt. Cover it again and allow it to cook. And after you've stirred, right, you're going to introduce your periwinkle. Like I said, I'm introducing more seasoning and a bit of salt to, bring out the taste of the soup. But if yours is okay at this point, there's no need for you to adjust with any lacking ingredient. Then I introduce this properly washed periwinkle. This periwinkle is a whole lot because I love my periwinkles obvious in the soup, right? After introducing the periwinkle, I will allow it to cook for just 2 minutes. Periwinkles are already cooked. You don't need to cook it for a longer period. Now, after allowing the periwinkle to cook for 2 minutes, I will introduce okaza leaf. For this particular one, like I said earlier, you can use bitter leaf or you can use vegetable, but I introduce okaza leaf just here, to give it this brightness, this greenish brightness into the soup. Bitter leaf will give it a kind of dark brightness, a little sparing, darkness into the soup. But then it is also okay if you have given it enough oil. But I introduce okaza leaf because I want it a bit, greenish. And this is the soup. Let me know the swallow you think will pair very well with the soup, and how different would you have made the soup. Let me know in the comment section. Thank you. Almost forgot to tell you that immediately you introduce the okaza leaf, please turn off the heat and then stir properly to combine. Stir very well to make sure that the leaf, has distributed evenly and the soup will be ready. You can also decide to, cook it for up to 2 minutes again, but we don't like to cook okaza leaf whenever we're making it with egusi. And this is the outcome of the soup. Do you like the soup? The soup is a staple in any kind of occasion here in Nigeria. And the next one we're going to look into is native soup. This soup is very tasty. It is easy to make, and I can say that it is somehow expensive because it requires so much ingredients given into the soup to kind of elevate the soup. But if you don't mind, the soup is one that you should have on your menu. So let's begin. Into the pot, you introduce your favorite protein. For this particular soup, I'll be using two types of protein. One is already seasoned and properly dried. I will introduce it a bit later. So I introduce more water to cook the cow head until it's 90% done. This is the roasted beef. I will introduce it at this point, right? Then I will introduce dried fish. After introducing the dried fish, I will stir properly to combine. I will then introduce water to cook the soup properly. If you're watching up until now and you have not subscribed to the channel, this is the right time for you to hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notification so you'll be notified each time I upload a new video if you like what we do here, right? And for my returning subscribers, thank you for always stopping by. I appreciate you. At this point, I introduce a bit of water to cook the proteins I just gave to it properly, right? And after that, I will introduce this hot water to enable the soup to start boiling almost immediately. After introducing the water, I will introduce more pepper. If you don't like pepper, please look away whenever you see this soup on any occasion. After introducing the pepper, I will stir properly to combine, and I will allow this to cook very well for up to 20 minutes. I am introducing more dry fish. Like I said, this soup requires a whole lot of protein, to bring out the taste of the soup. Now for the thickener, we'll be using ofo. I always love to fry my ofo a little bit, to give it this creamy texture. But if you don't like it, you can just introduce the ofo directly into the soup as it was cooking. But for me, no, because I love to do extra things to give my soup that special taste that I love. Okay, I will go for that to introducing oil into the pot, introduce a little bit of egusi, then I will fry the ofo a little bit, like 2 to 3 minutes into the oil. I will then reintroduce it into the pot of soup and allow it to cook until everything thickens up to my preferred thickness. Let me know how you would prefer. Would you prefer this style? But I would love for you to try it and tell me the outcome or how the taste of the soup, came out when you tried this process. I reintroduce the ofo into the soup. I will stir properly to combine. After stirring, I will cover and allow it to come to a boil for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, just look at the soup. It has thickened up to my preferred thickness. I will taste and adjust with any lacking ingredients. Here, I'm introducing more crayfish. Like I will always say, give your Nigerian soup the best crayfish and it will give you the best taste that you want. This is the preferred thickness that I will be going for, because when you bring down this soup, it will also thicken up on the ground. I tasted and every other thing was okay. I'm going to introduce periwinkle. Let me know if you have used native soup for any kind of occasion here in Nigeria and how people perceived it. Did they like it? Let me know in the comment section. I introduced more seasoning cube, okay? Then I stirred properly to combine. I will introduce the periwinkle at this point. If you have the money and you can put these 3 soups on your menu for any kind of occasion, your guest would definitely fall in love with one, and I bet you that that occasion will be a very rich occasion. Just try it and let me know. But if you don't have the money, you can decide to choose 1 or 2 out of the 3 that I have given to you. I introduced the periwinkle at this point. I will stir properly to combine, allow the periwinkle to cook for just 2 minutes max, and you're going to introduce the leaf, which is the oziza leaf. If you're going to introduce the soup to your menu, please make sure you be using any dry protein. It could be dry beef or dry goat meat or dry bush meat. Those dry proteins will help bring out the taste of the soup, and your guests will forever enjoy it and they will remember the soup always. Now, the soup is a bit expensive, like I said. Okay, the soup and Afang soup, they are expensive. Almost all the soups you will use for any kind of occasion is expensive depending on the number of guests you will be expecting. Allow the leaf to cook for up to 2 minutes and the soup will be ready. Stir properly to combine, allow it to evaporate, and it is done. Let me know the swallow you think will pair very well with the soup. I think fufu will pair very, very well with the soup, and that's why people love it. This is the outcome. Will you introduce the soup in any kind of occasion you may want to have in future? Let me know in the comment section. Try it and you will come back to thank me. Apart from the soups that I just showed here, right, there are other soups you can also use, and I will be filming that in the part 2 of the soups you can use for occasion. Thank you for watching. Till I see you in my next video, do have a pleasant day. Bye bye.